think you made about all my Mennonite connections at your congregation this morning. There's one more. The home church that I go to, Lockport, is the same congregation where Carla Rock, who is the daughter of Dave and Schmucker, also attends. And I know a few other people here in the congregation. I know Roger from my time in Rad and living in Indiana. But I want to say it is a privilege to be here this morning to be able to preach, however the unfortunate circumstances that brought me here. And I wanted to begin by just sharing a little bit of a testimony on how God has been leading myself and our family, how God has brought me into contact with Pastor Todd and you all, and just how it happens that I am here this morning. Like you said, my name is Glenn Nofziger. It's my wife, Erin Nofziger. We got 2 kids, Ted and Luke. And Erin's from Orville, and I'm from Northwest Ohio. We meet in EMU, Virginia. And we've been living in Northwest Ohio. Erin, after EMU, she got a nursing degree. And I've been substitute teaching and coaching, and then farming with my brother and my dad, and have been a stay-at-home dad. A few years ago, I was able to be a ministry intern in our church, and I experienced God's calling to serve the church. And I wasn't quite sure in what way He was calling me to ministry, He was calling me to teach Bible. But about a year and a half ago, we experienced God leading us a little bit more, sensing some change was coming. And so we formed a sermon team to gather around this house to pray and discern how God might be leading us. Is He calling me to seminary this time or what? And during this time, I actually applied for 2 different ministry positions. I applied for the associate pastor position at our home church, my home church, and also for the youth pastor position at Orville. And I didn't get either of those jobs. And it seemed like God was saying, no, not here, not now. I'm calling you to Bible training. And so I was like, okay. It was a very affirming process. It seemed like God was really directing this, even though I was, not chosen for either of those jobs. And so I was like, okay, all right, God, this is what I believe you're calling me to do. I'm not going to cut my hair until I go to seminary. So I stopped cutting my hair and drinking pot. But the pop thing was hard, so I really liked it a lot. But after I filled up my first application for seminary, then I thought, okay, now I can drink pot again. But I couldn't cut my hair until I make it to seminary. So I looked into EMS in Virginia, and Ashland, not far from here, and AMDS in Elkhart. And it seemed like not long after that, God started opening some doors in Virginia. I received an email from our conference minister, Tom Coughlin, saying, did you hear about the Ministry Leadership Award at EMS? And I was like, no, I haven't. He goes, well, ask about it and tell him I told you about it. And about a week or so later, I get this email from Don Yoder, Director of Missions, saying, based on the recommendation from Tom Coughlin, we'd like to invite you to apply for the Ministry Leadership Award, which is up to half tuition off. And I was like, okay, thank you, Tom. But I was just invited to apply, so I still had to apply for the scholarship. I think it was the next day, Erin receives an email from a teacher that we had at EMU in the nursing department saying, Erin, we hear you might be coming to EMU out of Harrisonburg, and we would like to have you on staff in the nursing department at EMU. And we were like, holy cow, what an incredible opportunity. So it's a possibility for a job there for Erin. And then the next day, I think this was 3 days in a row, I received this message on Facebook from someone, I have no idea who it was, saying, through a mutual friend, we found out you guys might be coming to Harrisonburg, and we are going to be missionaries in Africa for 3 years, and we were wondering if you'd like to live in our house in exchange for a cheap rent. And so I called Erin over to read this, and she started crying. And it seemed pretty clear that God was definitely opening some doors and giving us some direction. And then, Andy Stone calls me, a regional pastor. He goes, Glenn, there's this youth pastor position in Smithville I think you need to look at. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? We're like planning to go to Harrisonburg. And he goes, yeah, but there's this crazy guy, Pastor Todd Martin. I don't think he used the word crazy, but since then I've pointed out. because I think you'd really get along with them. You got to check it out. I'm like, it seems pretty clear God's calling us. Why? Because, so I'm like, I need to go talk to my pastor. All right, Tom Coughlin, our conference minister, is giving me the encouragement to do this. Andy Stoner says you got to look at Smithville. So I'm like, Smithville. I had been to Smithville once before for a ministry development team meeting for our conference, and that was the only time I was here. Met Todd briefly, long enough to, I think, win a mug. He asked a question about anniversary. You guys have just said, was it 50 years? Or 100 years, 50 years? And so that's how I met him, but otherwise I did not know why Andy thought I needed to get to know this crazy guy. Because he thought we hit it off. So my pastor gives me, in his wisdom, he gives me the advice and counsel. Why limit God? Just be open and honest with where you're at, where you think God's leading you, and who knows why. But why close doors on where God may be leading? So I was like, okay. Remember, I'm not cutting my hair until I go to seminary. So I come out here to actually interview, and I meet Todd. Pastor Todd, and the interview goes great. We go out for lunch, takes me to the inn, and we eat pie. I see his office, I see his love for Lamborghinis, and Andy was right. We headed off, and Pastor Todd is a great guy, and we share this element of craziness, I guess, for God. And so, yeah, still, I was here and I was interviewing for this youth pastor. It was halftime. We had like a time of the year. My brother was getting married. We had to be out of our house, and we were like, all these green lights were in Harrisonburg. We were like, I'm open and honest, saying, hey, I don't know why. I've applied for 2 ministry positions already, and God has said, no, not here, not now, to the seminary. But I was open to whatever God was leading. And so, had a great interview. Came to church that Sunday. You might remember us coming here to church, and I think about 75% of you came and warmly welcomed us and greeted us, and it was a fantastic weekend getting to know you all. And we just were really unsure of how God was leading here. I think it was the next week after the interview was when we were going to Harrisonburg one time, and everything seemed to start falling into place. We met with the Krauses. Their house seemed like a perfect fit. They were like, yep, it's yours if you want it. I later find out I received get the scholarship for the tuition, and it just really seemed like I was being prepared at this calling as a seminary. So it was really hard, and just it made it really difficult for us to discern God's will by being so great of a congregation. But we just really felt to be true what God was calling us to, that we had to be faithful in how He was leading, that He was just providing the doors. And so we had to make commitments, and we were decided to go to Harrisonburg. And this last month, I was cleaning out a house, and I found this toy Lamborghini in the basement. And it was old. I was going to throw it away. I didn't know if it still worked. It literally had been in storage for like 20 years. It said 1989 in the box. And I put batteries in it, and sure enough, it worked. So I was like, you know what? Who likes Lamborghinis? I'll see if you like this kid. So, we're in the area this week, and I call him up, and it's like, Pastor Todd, hey, we're around this week. I'd like to get together. Can we do lunch or something? So, Tuesday, we have lunch together, and I present this gift to this Lamborghini. It's remote control, and he was tickled pink. He couldn't hardly accept it. He's like, maybe it's on loan, your son will want it, whatever. But it's like, no, it's a gift. And then we had a great time talking. He shares that he's going to be preaching this Sunday online. And he's asking about a sermon topic. He had 2 great titles, either Prevent Truth Decay or Pants on Fire. Go ahead, Pants on Fire. I got to choose the sermon title. And then I was like, you know what? There's this fantastic book that I've been reading called The Good and Beautiful Life by James Bryan Smith. He said, you've got to read it. Your church would love it. It's great for small groups. You can do it in a number of different ways. It was the curriculum we used for Little League this year. We added senior high camp for the first time in 43 years this last year, and that was kind of our curriculum. And one of the topics in the book talks about learning to live without lying. And so I tell them about this book, but I didn't have it with me. But then Thursday, I was going to be going to Worcester, and I was going to drop it off and say, hey, you can look at the book, you don't have to use it as a sermon help, on Thursday. And so I call on Thursday, and I get Rebecca answering Todd's phone. And she goes, do you know where we're at? We're in the hospital, and Todd's fractured his vertebrae. And I called to ask if he'd like some help with the sermon, but I didn't expect to be able to help this much. So Rebecca asked, would you like to preach this Sunday? And I'm like, well, I guess we're still around. She goes, you can have his notes. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess let me talk to my wife. You know, I had one more chance to go. And see, because we're moving to Virginia tomorrow, you know. And Erin, my wife, she goes, well, a bit crazy, but I guess you'd probably be able to help him out, wouldn't you? And I was kind of hoping she'd say it's a little too crazy. What are you thinking? You know. But she gave me a blessing, and so Rebecca called back, and I was like, well, I guess sure I can preach. So I got his sermon notes, and I guess, to be honest, this was the second least amount of time I've had to prepare for a sermon. The least amount of time was when I was in Mexico, and we got to this remote village to a service, and they informed me that I was going to preach in 5 minutes in Spanish. So this was a little bit more time, but I found it really interesting. You know, I've been a substitute teacher before, where you come in and teachers have prepared a lesson for someone else to teach. Well, this was a lot more weird. This was a sermon that Pastor Todd was planning on preaching himself, and you never know quite how the Holy Spirit is guiding and directing, and in what ways, you know. I got his notes, and I'm like reading through it, and like, I could probably read those notes in about 6 minutes and be done. And because I've heard Pastor Todd preach, and he's a fantastic preacher, and he's had a few more sermons under his belt than what I have. And so I just trust and pray that God will use me to deliver the message that he had started, you know, with Pastor Todd at the beginning of the week. So all that to say, that's how I got to know Pastor Todd. You know, this Lamborghini got it together this week, and voila, we don't move to Virginia until tomorrow, and here I am to help with the sermon. So, I guess to begin, I have this $10 bill. Doesn't someone get a chance to receive $10 if they are able to recite the 10 Commandments? Did I pull someone's name out of this box? Elliot Martin. Are you ready? Elliot? Alright, you can speak to this, I guess. Wait, don't we get to give him some encouragement? Yeah. The one for today?
Don't lie.
Yeah! So I believe this is sermon number 9 of the 10 Commandments. Do not lie. Exodus 20, verses 16, my Bible says, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Moses shows us that we don't tell lies. I wasn't quite sure what kind of sermon notes Pastor Todd would have in your bulletin. You have a few things that you could write down. The first one was, Moses tells us, we don't tell lies. So if you want to write some of these things down, we can get a few cues on some sermon notes that you can tell me. We don't tell lies. We don't break God's laws. They break us. How many of you would agree that lying is wrong or is a sin? I think we'd all probably agree on that. Next question. How many of you lie? Now, if you're raising your hand and telling us that you're lying, how can we believe it? And if you don't raise your hand and say you don't lie, you still might be lying. But the question is, how often do we really lie? How often, maybe we just bend the truth a little bit? Maybe we say things that aren't quite true. Maybe we agree to things that aren't totally honest. Well, I have some statistics here that you may find hard to believe. And they do come from this book, The Good Beautiful Life, on the chapter on learning to live without lying, by James Bryan Smith. There's a study that he talks about, conducted by Robert Feldman. It says that in a 10-minute conversation, we tell an average of 3.3 lies. That's once every 3 minutes or so. Another study states that we are lied to every 5 minutes. That's an average of about 200 times a day. I did some math there because it didn't seem like that was enough, but I realized of the 485 minutes in a day we're not talking to someone. I guess we're sleeping part of the time as well. But it's 200 times a day. Another author, Ralph Keyes, who wrote a book online, states some form of deception occurs in nearly 2/3 of all conversations. It's blown me away. Another study says that 59% of some 2,000 American parents admit to lying to their children on a regular basis. With lies like, our cable company doesn't get that show, or don't touch that button or it might shock you, or I'm sorry, the candy store is closed now. How many times do we say things to our kids that may not be totally true? And how much tolerance do we have for our kids when they lie to us? Zero tolerance. There is an example that Smith uses. In his book, he was at a dinner party with like 10 couples. And these were really educated folk, and someone found out that he was a teacher, and they were like, oh, great. And he started going into this conversation about, he said, I believe Hawthorne is the best writer. And he listed a couple reasons why. And his Scarlet Letter was one of the best books ever written. Wouldn't you agree? And he had never read Hawthorne. He had never read the Scarlet Letter. But he said, yeah, he is pretty good, isn't he? And this guy continues to go on with the conversation and asking him questions that he's able to agree with. Yeah. And the more and more the conversation goes on, he's worried that he's going to find out that he's never read the book. And what did he have to gain by admitting that he knew what was going on? He had very little to gain. He was maybe hoping to be impressed or not to let them find out that he didn't read this book. He had so much to lose, though. They could have found out his lack of credibility, that he was a fake or a fraud or a liar. I have another example of one time when I lied. I was pretty little, maybe first or second grade, and my mom had a rule for us, one piece of sweet gum a day. And I had this pack of bubble gum, and I really liked this bubble gum. I had a piece in my mouth, but it was its sweetness very quickly. And so I went back to my room and put the entire pack in my mouth. So I had this huge mouthful of bubble gum, and I'm chewing, and it's like it can't even all stay in my mouth. It's hanging out of my mouth. I'm walking back out of the kitchen, and my mom says, "Glenn, did you put more than one piece in your mouth?" What am I going to say? No! It's hanging out of my mouth, Why would I lie? I was afraid of the consequences. Well, I think I suffered worse consequences because not only did I disobey her, but I also lied. I bet we lie more often than what we realize. And it could be some little areas of where we're just not totally honest. Or maybe we agree to something in a conversation with someone we don't really know what they're talking about. And I believe we do that because we have so many ways that we rationalize and justify how we deceive or how we misinform. We have so many ways that we rationalize and justify how we deceive. Now, Pastor Todd had come up with a top 10 list of lies that we hear or say. And I'm going to read that. So if you picture this list coming from Pastor Todd. See if you ever heard this. And this was another thing to write down. Top 10 lies we say or hear. Number 10. Your table will be ready in a minute. Number 9. This will hurt me more than it will hurt you. How about number 8? One size fits all. Number 7. Sorry I'm late. I got stuck in traffic. What, maybe you see a buggy? Or have to pass a buggy? Number 6. This offer is limited to the first 50 people that call in now. About number 5, the check's in the mail. Number 4, I don't really want to make money. I just love to sell carpet. I don't know where he got all of this. How about number 3? No, officer, I have no idea how fast I was going. Number 2, I just need 5 minutes of your time. Remember that one? Or how about number 1? This might be his favorite, or his least favorite. Not only is it good for you, but it tastes great too. In our culture, we've been almost conditioned to expect lies. And lying is not just in our language, but it's an international language. Deception is not just an American phenomenon. Nikita Khrushchev, the former Soviet leader, once told that an epidemic of thievery in the USSR became so bad that guards were placed at all factory gates. At a plant in Leningrad, a man named Petrovich came out with a wheelbarrow carrying a huge, suspicious-looking sack. "What have you got there, Petrovich?" asked the guard. "Just sawdust and shavings," Petrovich replied. "Come on," responded the guard. "I wasn't born yesterday. Dump it out." To his surprise, there was only sawdust and shavings. Petrovich put it all back in the sack and went home. The same scene was repeated every night for a week. Finally, overcome with curiosity, the frustrated guard said, "Petrovich, I know you. Tell me what you're smuggling out of here, and I'll let you go." Petrovich answered, "Wheelbarrows." In the end, we like to dress up our lies in other words like exaggeration, or maybe we use hyperbole, or maybe we were just simply joking. Too many jokes have the element of lying, or maybe we use misinformation. Or how about that whopper that we always tell? I have a terrible joke of the one-armed fisherman. Have you heard of the fish that he caught? It was this big. I told you it was bad joke. But the most peculiar thing we do is color a lie. Have you heard of a white lie? Or maybe it's not totally true, maybe it's half true, maybe it's a third true, maybe it's just a quarter true, or an eighth true. Well, we have some colors here representing some of the lies that we maybe tell. What about if we have a red lie, where we just think that the truth is just too dangerous to tell? You know, a pitcher of water here, and I'm going to pour this red lie into a pitcher of water. How about a yellow lie, or we just think we're just afraid to tell the truth. We're afraid of the consequences. What might happen if we tell the truth? Pour that in. How about a green line? Maybe we're a little bit envious, and we exaggerate to make ourselves look better. We'll pour that in. Or how about a blue lie? Maybe we're just worried that we might hurt someone's feelings. And so we don't tell them the truth, so they don't feel quite so blue. We'll pour that in. This gives us a vivid picture of what color lies are to God. No matter what color we claim our lie is, all lies to God are what? They're black. Let's see what God has to say about lying. I'm going to read some verses here, and you can look them up later. God is pretty clear in his evaluation of lying. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up dissension among brothers. That's Proverbs 6:16 and 19. Or how about Proverbs 12:22? The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in men who are truthful. Psalm 101:7. No one who practices deceit will dwell in my house. No one who speaks falsely will stand in my presence. This is pretty harsh. Proverbs 19:9. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who pours out lies will perish. And we can't leave out Revelation 21:8. Familiar with that one? Along with the unbelieving, the vile, murderers, and the sexual immoral, God says that all liars shall have their place in the lake of fire. When we say a lie, we don't just offend God, but we also hurt ourselves. A desert nomad once awoke in the middle of the night. Hungry, he lit a candle and began eating dates from a bowl beside his bed. He took a bite of one and saw a worm in it, so he threw it out of the tent. He bit into a second date, found another worm, and threw it away also. Then, reasoning that he would have nothing to eat if this continued, he blew out the candle and quickly ate the rest of the dates. Many prefer darkness and denial to the light of the reality about themselves. So what do? You know, when we start lying, and we say one lie, what often happens? What do we have to do to cover up that lie? We need to tell another lie. And then we may need to tell another lie. And Sir Walter Scott expressed it well when he said, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when at first we practice to deceive." Has anyone seen the VeggieTales version of Larry Boy and the Fib from Outer Space? What does Laura do? She tells a lie at the beginning of the story, and this fib, what happens to it? It grows and grows and grows, and soon gets out of control. So what do we need to do when we tell a lie? First, we need to admit the tragedy. Fess up. Say, "I'm sorry. I lied here, and here's the truth. Can you forgive me?" Second, we tell the truth. No, first thing, we admit the tragedy. We admit that it's a tragedy. Tragedy because a lie is a sin, and it is tragic because all sin destroys relationships. So first we admit it's a tragedy, then we tell the truth, and we fess up and say, "I lied, forgive me, this is the truth." So we admit that it's a tragedy, we tell the truth, and by telling the truth, we earn their trust. Truth builds trust, and trust builds love. No matter what lie you have told, no matter what color you think it is, to God, all lies are black. And I have a challenge for you this week. I would encourage you to choose a day and make it a totally lie-free day. If you catch yourself saying something that is untrue, correct it right away and say, I'm sorry, I wasn't totally truthful here. This isn't truth. Be honest and open and make the change. You may be worried that someone may think less of you, but actually, it'll probably be just the opposite. They'll probably think more of you, and God will as well. And you may be surprised how encouraging it is and how refreshing it may be to help you prevent from saying the next lie. So I challenge you and encourage you to try that sometime this week. Take a day that you will not say anything untruthful, no matter how slight, and see what that experience is like for you. Let's close the prayer. God, we know that learning and simply abiding by the Ten Commandments will not save us. But if we did not know what sin was, how would we know that we needed a Savior? Lord, forgive us for the times that we have lied and not been honest with the truth. We give you our words, our conversations, our thoughts, and our actions. Help us to be truthful and honest in all that we say and do. In Jesus' name we pray.